to say that for the first 25 years, I suppose, of my life, I gave no real thought or consideration as to what it all meant, why we were all here, what the meaning of life was. As far as I was concerned, it was for one thing really, that was for getting through, and also for enjoying it as much as possible while I was here. I was also comfortable with the fact, as far as I saw it, that prior to being born, I knew nothing about life whatsoever. It was just a black, empty void, nothingness. And I was equally as comfortable with the fact that when I died, it'd be just the same. Nothing, just a black, empty space again. I was quite comfortable with that. I could live with it. Or even die with it, I guess I should say. I left school, like most people I guess, about 16. But unlike most people, I had no qualifications whatsoever. School to me was something which was just something to be got through, basically. And I was also keen on earning money, and I discovered quite quickly that the only way to earn money really without any qualifications was to go into selling, which is what I did. But then I made it into the big time. I managed to get a job as a company rep with a company car, an expense account, all the business, smashing. Yeah, and it was about at this point when a friend of mine suggested that we start up a mobile disco, where you went along to parties, wedding receptions, etc., and just played records and got paid for it. And we did that for a couple of years, and it went very, very well. And then, all of a sudden, I was discovered. It was great. The big time. Oof. Basically, I was asked if I would become a resident DJ at a local disco. I can't explain to you how excited I was. This was the big time. And the money was good as well. And of course it enabled me to keep my day job going at the same time. I was also married and had a child. I was hardly ever home, of course. It didn't bother me. I was enjoying myself. It was great. It was. At the end of that time, it got even better. I was asked if I would go full-time, to go professional. But that of course meant working 6-7 nights a week and meant giving up the day job as well. So for the next 3 or 4 years, the life I led was absolutely brilliant. I thought so anyway at the time. It was the sort of life, I guess, that most blokes would give their right arm for. The money was out of this world, and for working, I didn't see daylight hardly at all actually. I was only working at nights, etc. As a result, my wife didn't see me either. And after 2 or 3 years, my marriage virtually foundered. She left me and started divorce proceedings. It honestly didn't bother me. I can say that right now. It was just in a world of my own. I was really enjoying what I was doing, shall we say. It's shocking, really. But after about 3 or 4 years of this, I was in a party, not far actually from where we are right now. And it was about 4 or 5 a.m, I guess. I'd finished work and been invited back to this party. And I was sitting there, and without going into detail, it was all going on all around me, you can imagine. And I looked around and I thought, there just has to be more to it than this. There just has to be more to life than this, and the life I've been leading for the last 3 or 4 years, because I just wasn't being fulfilled. So at that point I decided to call it a day, basically, and I knew there had to be more to life itself. So I came to my senses, if that's the right way of putting it. My wife came back and we started all over again, and I went back to a quote normal day job, selling again. And for the next 10 or 12 years, that's basically what I did. I carried on working for 3 or 4 different companies and earned a very good living. But during that time, I was asking questions of people as to what they believed, what life was all about. And one of my managers at the time just happened to be one of these born-again Christians. And this was quite useful to me. I asked him a number of questions. He never forced the issue at all. I always had to ask him. So I approached the question of, is there a God or isn't there a God, in the same way that I would any other subject really, and that's by asking people questions, reading books. I even went to a church now and again. And then after about 10 or 12 years, I guess, I came to the conclusion, yeah, there has to be, because it's easier to believe in God than not to believe in one. So I made this public confession to all my family and friends that I believed in God. And I started going to church regularly, and within a few weeks I was baptised. And I felt so much better. It was great. All of a sudden life, had a purpose. Then Unfortunately, not long after that one, it all went wrong. I was made redundant from the job that I was in. I then had to make a choice of going to a competitor and offered me a much better job, much better than the one I just left. But I had this nagging feeling that maybe, just maybe, I should go into self-employment, into a small printing business my father-in-law wanted to set up. So it was Monday morning, it was 8 a.m, and I was praying on my own in the room. My wife had gone to work, and I was saying, Lord, I need your guidance on this. Which way do I turn? And then all of a sudden, the sensation that I experienced, I've never forgotten to this day. And as I said just now, it was about 25 years ago. I fell flat on my face on the floor. I felt such a feeling of warmth and security, which was totally indescribable. And I just cried my eyes out. And I don't normally do that sort of thing, especially at 8 o'clock on a Monday morning. I didn't hear voices or anything like that, but I knew for a start that God existed, because he was there in the room with me. And I can remember the sensation now. I drew such a strength from this experience, from this presence I was feeling. I could have taken on the world just then. So I decided that I was going to go into the print business. Yeah, running that company was tough. There was one point in particular when I literally got my pen and threw it across the desk and said, that's it, we've had it, we're going bust. There was no way out of it. We pulled through it. And there were other occasions like that when we didn't have enough money to pay the staff, and I had to use my own credit card to pay them, and we had quite a few staff as well. But through all those difficult periods, and the good times as well, because there were good times, I just know now, even more so looking back on those times, that God was with me. He was helping me and he was guiding me. There were periods when we didn't know which way to turn, but he was there and he helped. It was mind-boggling. And without his help, I just don't know how I would have done it. And it's great now to know, and it is, because I know without any shadow of a doubt at all that God exists and he is real. I have no doubts whatsoever.